After years of economic and political aggression, Japan invaded China in mid-1937. China resisted Japan with help from Soviet Russia and Britain. In this video, we'll look at how Britain and Russia can help China in Storm over Asia. I'll keep this video short because people might want to watch it while they're playing the game. We'll start with Britain because it's simpler. The Burma Road is a 6-step Chinese research project, but even without it, Britain may grant 1 tile point to China each turn, provided Japan hasn't conquered the South China coast. If the Japanese aggression index is +1 or higher, Britain may grant China a research point to be used for Burma Road research instead of granting a tile point. This research point may not be assigned to any other Chinese project. 3 steps of Burma Road research allows Britain to grant a 2nd tile point to China. 6 steps of Burma Road research removes the option of taking advantage of a positive Japanese aggression index to grant China a research point for Burma Road research, since that is no longer possible. But it allows Britain to either grant a 2nd tile point and use a 1 activity counter to grant a research point, which can be used in any eligible Chinese project, or grant just 1 tile point and use a 2 activity counter for Chinese research. The effects of Burma Road research are summarized in this table, which is found in the rulebook. The Sinkiang Road is also a 6-step Chinese research project, and without it, Russia may grant 1 tile point to China each turn. Japan can't interfere with these grants, although Russian random events 29 and 30 may prevent them. Russia may grant a research point for Sinkiang Road research if the Japanese aggression index is positive, provided this isn't prevented by a party purge, a great purge, or Russian random event 7 or 8. 3 steps of Sinkiang Road research gives Russia the option of intervening in China by using a 1 activity counter for diplomacy, or by using a military counter for combat in China. The diplomatic option may be prevented by a party purge, a great purge, or Russian random events 5 or 6. The military option may be prevented by Russian random events 27 and 28. As with the Burma Road, 6 steps of Sinkiang Road research removes the option of taking advantage of a positive Japanese aggression index. Russia does have other options, though. It can use 2 activity counterpoints to pay for Chinese military operations. It can use either a 1 activity counter or a 2 activity counter for Chinese research. It can use either a 1 activity counter or a 2 activity counter for diplomacy in China. It can use a military counter for combat in China. Russia therefore has many possibilities. For example, it can grant a tile point, give China 1 research point, and then spend a 3rd tile point on diplomacy, using a Russian military counter in China, or paying for a Chinese military counter. There are many other possible combinations. What Russia does will depend on many factors, including its purge situation. Here is the table summarizing the effects of Sinkiang Road research. Russia's ability to assist China may also be enhanced by Russian random events. Random events 17 and 18 allow Russia to use an additional activity counter for Chinese research. Random events 14, 19, and 20 allow Russia to use an additional activity counter for diplomacy in China. Random event 21 allows Russia to use an additional activity counter for either research or diplomacy. And random events 15 and 16 allow Russia to use an additional military counter. These random events allow Russian aid before the Sinkiang Road is completed, or allow a greater level of aid once it is completed. There is one more rule to keep in mind. Britain and Russia may both send emergency aid to China at the end of the income phase and at the end of the turn, regardless of what other aid they send. Emergency aid is allowed regardless of the status of the Burma and Sinkiang roads, provided China has a deficit, but Britain and Russia still have to have the activity counters and tile points necessary to grant aid to China. It would be wrong to end this video after only explaining the how of British and Russian aid to China without explaining the why and when. Apart from the obvious effects of strengthening China against Japan and storm over Asia, the why involves a world at war. Burma Road research allows BRP grants to China, but perhaps more importantly, a Burma Road result allows the Western Allies to trace supply into China should they control Burma. British and American forces in China are a nightmare for Japan, so it is good to keep this possibility open. A Sinkiang Road result allows the construction of one Communist Chinese infantry factor and one Communist Chinese partisan, each turn at no cost. This means that China wants to complete 6 steps of both Burma and Sinkiang Road research by the end of the game. This leaves open the question of just when China should research these projects. Newer players tend to research the road projects right away, and even experienced players fall into this trap. I think it's a mistake for 3 reasons. The first reason is that researching the road projects means delaying researching the other Chinese projects that modify Chinese cohesion. The second reason is that early in the game, Britain and Russia both tend to be short of tile points, and they may strain to grant even the basic 1 tile point each turn that is allowed without any road research. The third reason is that if the roads are researched right away, the Allies can't take advantage of Britain and Russia being allowed to grant China research points for road research when the Japanese aggression index is positive. If these research points are assigned to clear cells, that is, the first 3 steps of road research, then the 2 remaining Chinese research points may be assigned to light gray and dark gray steps of other projects. This makes Chinese research more efficient and is an important weapon in the Allied arsenal. It is therefore better to defer road research until the middle game, unless a research random event for one of them falls into China's lap in the first few turns. It's a mistake to wait too long to research the road projects, though, because war might break out before they are finished.